Cody wrecks McAfee's set, wins the title. Lesnar shouldn't beat Oba. Mania 42 sales surge. Becky calls out WWE. Rhea sick before Mania. Roxanne health update. Roman leaving after Mania. Rock update for Mania. All that and more ahead. So don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you haven't yet, because things are moving fast and every detail matters. Kicking things off with the heated debate around Brock Lesnar possibly defeating Oba Femi, a matchup that has quickly become one of the most talked about clashes heading into WrestleMania 42, with the Beast Incarnate issuing an open challenge that the dominant ruler confidently accepted, setting the stage for a collision that feels larger than life. And when these two first crossed paths during the Royal Rumble, Lesnar managed to gain the upper hand. But since that moment, the momentum has clearly shifted, with Femi asserting dominance in their encounters and proving that he is not just another powerhouse, but a serious rising force. So heading into WrestleMania, the big question becomes, how should this match actually be booked to live up to the hype? Because one wrong decision could damage everything that has been built so far. And one obvious mistake would be having Lesnar run through Femi in a quick squash, something that has happened in the past with other opponents, where matches barely last a few minutes and end abruptly, like the bout against Omos that wrapped up almost as quickly as it started. But doing that here would completely undercut Oba Femi's growth, wouldn't it? Especially when he has been presented as a future main event level talent. So why undo months of build-up in just a few...
Not minutes. At the same time, though, flipping the scenario and having Femi squash Lesnar wouldn't be much better either, because while it might elevate the younger star in the short term, it could also diminish the credibility of Lesnar, who still carries a larger-than-life aura. And if this rivalry has the potential to continue beyond WrestleMania, wouldn't it make more sense to keep things competitive rather than ending it decisively in one night? Especially when fans are clearly invested in seeing these two collide multiple times. Another critical point revolves around match placement, with plans currently indicating that Lesnar versus Femi will open Night 2 of WrestleMania 42. And honestly, that feels like the perfect spot, doesn't it? Because a high-energy clash between two dominant figures could instantly ignite the crowd and set the tone for everything that follows. And changing that plan at the last minute could disrupt the flow of the event, especially when anticipation is already built around that opening moment. Then there's the factor of Paul Heyman, who is almost always present in Lesnar's corner. But should he actually get involved in this match, or should this be kept as a pure contest between two monsters? Because interference might complicate what has been a straightforward and effective storyline. And sometimes simplicity is exactly what works best, especially when the story is about strength and
dominance and proving superiority inside the ring. And finally, the biggest question of all, should Brock Lesnar actually win this match? Because while he remains one of the most dominant figures in WWE history, does he really need the victory at this stage of his career? Or would it benefit Oba Femi far more to secure a defining win on the grandest stage, considering it's his first WrestleMania, and a victory over someone like Lesnar could instantly elevate him into the top tier? And when you look at Lesnar's balanced WrestleMania record, does it really hurt him to take another loss if it helps build the future? Shifting focus now to WrestleMania 42 ticket sales, which initially raised concerns due to slow movement and high pricing, with early reports suggesting that the numbers were lagging behind expectations, partly because of steep costs and the fact that Las Vegas was hosting the event for a second consecutive year. But things have taken a dramatic turn recently, thanks to aggressive promotional efforts and strategic discounts that seem to have reignited interest. And isn't it interesting how timing plays such a crucial role in these situations? Because once those price cuts were introduced and promoted heavily, sales began to climb rapidly, turning what looked like a potential issue into a late-stage success story, with updated figures showing significant increases for both nights. And now, instead of worrying about empty seats, the conversation has shifted to whether WrestleMania 42 could generate one of the highest gates in WWE history. So was this lead surge always part of the strategy, or did WWE simply adjust on the fly to correct course? Moving on to Becky Lynch, who recently opened up about a lesser-known aspect of WWE's past involving strict dress codes for female talent. revealing that there was a time when women were expected to dress in club-style outfits at all times.
Regardless of circumstances, which raises a lot of questions about how things were handled back then, doesn't it? Especially when you consider the demanding travel schedule and physical toll of performing night after night. And Lynch described scenarios where talent would finish a grueling match late at night, only to then be required to dress up in uncomfortable outfits while traveling long distances, which not only sounds impractical, but potentially unsafe as well, particularly when stopping in unfamiliar areas during the early hours of the morning. And it didn't stop there, as even something as simple as airport attire was monitored, with consequences for not adhering to the expected appearance, which really highlights how tightly controlled presentation used to be. So hearing that this policy is no longer in place suggests progress, but does it fully address the broader issues of how talent was treated during that era? And do you think the industry has truly evolved since then? Turning attention now to Rhea Ripley, who is preparing for a major championship match against Jade Cargill, but has recently sparked concern among fans due to noticeable physical changes, with speculation initially pointing toward training-related reasons. But Ripley herself clarified that the situation is more personal, revealing that she has been dealing with an eating-related issue that she is actively working to manage, which adds a deeper layer to her story heading into WrestleMania, because while she presents confidence on screen, it's clear that there are real challenges behind the scenes. And when you consider her past comments about struggling with body image during her early career, it becomes even more significant, showing just how far she has come while also highlighting ongoing battles. So, as she steps into one of the biggest matches of her career, does this make you see her journey differently? And could it impact her performance against someone as dominant as Jade Cargill? Shifting gears to Roxanne Perez, who recently suffered an injury on Raw, but appears to be on the road to recovery, as evidenced by her return to training activities, which is a positive sign considering the initial concerns, especially with reports indicating she had been placed in concussion protocol. And although she doesn't currently have a scheduled match at WrestleMania, her presence could still play a role in ongoing storylines, particularly given the unpredictable nature of alliances and rivalries right now. So could she end up influencing a major outcome even without an official match? And speaking of injuries and resilience, Liv Morgan also provided an update following a physical altercation that left visible damage, emphasizing that while the effects are real, she remains ready to compete, which reinforces the intensity of what these performers go through, and makes you wonder, does this kind of adversity give her an edge or put her at a disadvantage heading into her match? Now, turning to Roman Reigns, whose future has become a major topic of discussion as WrestleMania approaches, with earlier indications suggesting that his contract was set to expire soon after the event, leading to speculation about a possible departure. But more recent updates indicate that a renewal is likely, with expectations that a new deal will be finalized without much complication, potentially even including improved terms, which suggests that WWE still sees him as a central figure moving forward. So despite all the rumors, it appears that Reigns isn't going anywhere just yet. But what does that mean for his role after WrestleMania 42, especially if he continues to reduce his number of appearances? And how will that shape the main event scene? And then there's The Rock, whose potential involvement at WrestleMania 42 continues to generate buzz, with various reports offering different possibilities, from interfering in a major title match to setting up a future showdown. But at the same time, there's also speculation that his return might be saved for a later event instead, which keeps everything uncertain. And maybe that unpredictability is part of the appeal, because it keeps fans guessing and adds another layer of excitement to an already stacked event. So, do you think The Rock will actually show up this year, or is WWE holding back for an even bigger moment down the line? And finally, wrapping everything up with the explosive